Yes, good that you're watching. Oh, what hot! Still pretty hot. I had to put on the shirt for this stream. For the best. For the best. Okay. Thanks everyone for joining. As always. With the weekly to the weekly news stream. This is the final week before the launch of Assassin's Creed Black Flag Resynced. I just put the final video based on my preview build that I got to play a few months ago up on the channel. It has some very valuable information if you're looking to play. Of course, we're going to talk about some news here because there's a lot. It's kind of wild. And I want to I'm asked to do a Black Flag quiz tomorrow at a physical event in the Netherlands to celebrate the launch of Black Flag. So I thought would be fun to kind of spitball and maybe think of some questions together. So it will be for like an audience. Like, I don't want to spoil anything from the original because there will probably be people that have not played it, but I still want to kind of test knowledge, share some cool things, like for example that you could get the skeleton crew. I think that's like a fun question, and it's gonna be like an A and B option, and then the final question will be with a number. So then if there are like multiple people left over, the one that is closest to that actual number gets the prizes. So yeah, Subby1, did you see the PS blog? Well, I actually already made a short form video on it. Sander, good to see you as well. Neil Skata, saw you already rating, so appreciate you, of course. There's a meh Shadows reset, which is sad, unfortunate. And by the way, I also want to say, and Skata to you as well, those keys, save up the keys. Just save up the keys. Lord Muzzy, well, appreciate you a lot. Should I buy the standard or ultimate edition for GTA 6? It depends, of course, on if you think you will play the game a lot. I think the ultimate edition has quite some cool stuff. Of course, yeah, they did lock some things behind it. I'm not a fan of that, but I still think all the extras are probably worth the price tag if you, like me, are planning to play that game for at least 100 hours. I think the $100 for a game that only comes around every 13 years is worth it, but that's up to you. Yeah, people are talking about the PlayStation block. Of course, I already, again, made a video on it. I posted something on Twitter. So let's get into it for if you have missed it, and then we can kind of discuss it together. Physical disc production is ending in January 2028 for new games releasing on PlayStation consoles. In response to shifting trends in consumer preference, new games will be released on PlayStation Store and at retailers in digital format only. I think this is kind of like not a great response because sure, less and less people want to play games physically, but I think, and you see that for music as well, there will always be an audience that wants to get the game in their hands and also on a disc. So let's continue. As consumer preferences and the broader entertainment industry continues to shift away from physical disc to digital, physical game disc production for all new games releasing on PlayStation consoles will be discontinued starting January 2028. Following this date, new games will be available on the PlayStation Store and at retailers in a digital format only, which means just like GTA 6, so code in the box. This transition has no impact on games that already released and will be releasing prior to January 2028 in disc format. This is a natural direction for Sony Interactive Entertainment to adapt to consumer trends, as the general preference for digital media significantly outpaces physical discs. And we can look at a stat in a moment. This transition will enable us to align more closely with how most of our community prefers to access and play games today. This is like bullshit because they're already doing that. They're already like, it's not as if they are now adding more ways to access digital games. That will stay the same. They're removing one thing. You could basically say, yeah, so we're still doing what we already did, but we're doing less. But they spin it around saying, yeah, but the majority wants it this way, so we will just do that more. I mean, what the reason for it, I mean, the underlying reason is obviously the more people play or buy games from the PlayStation Store, the more money Sony gets. Like from every PlayStation game sold in the store, like a physical copy, if you buy a physical copy on Amazon for the same price, it's the same price as in the PlayStation Store, but Amazon wants the cut. So in the end, there's less money for PlayStation. If everyone buys their games on the PlayStation Store, they obviously get more money, and they completely control the market. And that might still be a thing, especially going into the PlayStation 6, because this obviously means that the PS6 will not have a disc drive whatsoever, which makes sense because all PlayStation 6 games will not release on disc. But that, yeah, like getting like cheap games or being able to sell them. So I know quite some people buy a game and then they put it on like a secondhand market or whatever, and then with that money they buy the next game, etc., etc. Now, of course, the people that do that have been less, like, it's a downward trend for sure, but completely removing that option does suck. And right now they were already doing some sort of middle finger to people that play game on discs. Like, if you want to, like, you were paying more for a PlayStation 5 with a disc drive. And if you wanted to get a disc drive on the PS5 Pro, you had to get that extension. So you were already paying more than the digital customer. So then you would make that, okay, how many like discs do I want to play? Do I get more out of being able to play discs than I'm now paying for the disc drive? Yes, was the answer for most. And yeah, now there's no option like that anymore. And of course, there are way more issues with this. It's the fact that we as consumers lose way more of our power, obviously, because the games, we don't own them. We own a license to play them. But at any point, if there's maybe music in that game that the license is not renewed, or I mean, we've already seen it right now with live service games where the servers just get shut down because there are only a few people playing. But that means that at any point, if you want to play the game that you owned, like for any other product, it would be wild to buy something and then at some point you're not able to access it anymore, even if you own it. And the moment you cannot really hold it in your hands anymore, you're not really owning anything. You're just, yeah, a license to play it. And for many people it doesn't matter, and we see that with streaming now as well. Like, people don't mind that they don't own their music. They just want access to an insane library, and that is great. But completely cutting out the option, I really thought with what was happening with GTA 6, that I actually think that this is like a big, like, I think you could, like, it's a big W for companies to be like, yo, we still put our game on disc. And then maybe you get more sales for people that want that. We know traditionally that single player games tend to sell more on disc, because with the disc you can play it at any time offline. Like, as long as your system works, your console works, you can play the game. And that will just not be possible. And at the same time, Sony is also announcing that the PS3 digital store and the Vita digital store is closing soon. So they're basically, so if at one point we reach the PlayStation 6 without any games that are available on disc, and then we reach the PS8 and they're like, we're closing the PS6 digital store, there is basically no way to get new games on an old PS6. Game preservation is just gone, and all these companies control it, and that I think sucks. We will continue to prioritize our resources to drive innovation in how players can access games and provide choices as to where players prefer purchase new games, whether that's a retailer or the PlayStation Store. Like, give us like examples how you're gonna do it, because there's no incentive for them to do that. Like, again, they want you to buy here because that's where they get all the money, and by removing physical discs, like, Sure, they're saying, yeah, but you can still buy it at Amazon. Okay, but why would I buy my game at Amazon if it's just a physical box with a code? Because I'm only hammering myself. I'm buying this game. I have to wait. So at launch, I have to wait, and then the game maybe doesn't show up because it's delayed or lost in transition or whatever, and then you get the game and then you still have to download it. So there's really no incentive for many people to get a physical copy anymore if there's no disc. If there's a disc, then you at least know, okay, forever I can play this game. Because yeah, it's an offline, it has an offline option. And that's why I want to wait. That's why I don't mind, okay, I cannot play immediately on launch day, but I know that I can play forever. And by removing that option, it's kind of crazy. We remain committed to delivering a world-class gaming experience to our fans, and we thank you for it. It's like it's just so that is not at all what you're communicating right now. If you want to focus on a world-class gaming experience, then you give options to people. And the moment there's really no one like still playing these games, then sure. But the problem is that and this is the stat that we have from Emperor Games analysis. Digital share of PlayStation games sold in 2013 it was 13%, but in 2025 it was still 80%. Or was so basically in 2013 only 13% bought their games digitally. In 2025 it was 80%. But so yeah, sure, that's a huge increase, and it's only gonna get more and more because more discless games get sold, or discless consoles are sold. But that 20% is still a lot. That's still millions of games. So by saying, yeah, we're looking at the trends, and sure, it's like a big majority of the people, but I think 20% is still huge. If you have 100 million players, that's still 20 million players that now are forced to go fully digital. And that really sucks. Us PlayStation guys will not stand for this. Yeah, what will we do? So PS5 won't have a disc unit. I think Fassy that's more than 100% confirmed by this point. Like I think this announcement, like if Sony was like, okay, it's only for our first party games, right? I think that's like their choice. It still sucks, but removing the option from everyone, that is crazy, because I still again think that some games could win some souls and maybe sell a bit more. I think like the Alan Wake 2 not launching on disc, people were like kind of, what the heck, what's wrong with that? And obviously they had their reasons for it, but that maybe hurt it as well. It was not on the store shelves during that Christmas period when people were picking up games as presents or whatever. And now to basically make that decision for every publisher is crazy. Obviously, it's a whole operation that they're running and that they're basically cutting. But I still think that as a platform holder and as one of the, like, especially with Xbox now kind of in the dirt, and maybe that's why they can accelerate this. They're like, okay, wait, yeah, you don't like this decision? Well, go to Xbox then. Oh, you're not doing that either. Okay, well, these are our rules. You better play by those. That is basically what is happening. And they know they hold all the power. And that really sucks. While I think giving the option to companies that still want to do it, I think this might hurt Ubisoft in a way as well. Like they still sell games that sometimes reaches that bigger audience, that Assassin's Creed type experience. That is still a game that a lot of people want on disc. And to now take that away, even though Ubisoft has no say in it whatsoever, I mean, they might still like it as well because they also get more money if a game gets sold on the PlayStation Store, but still, that sucks. Why to even sell physical if it's only gonna be a case? Like, again, that is to still have, like, if they were like, yeah, we're not even doing like the boxes anymore, then then Amazon was like, okay, we're not selling PlayStations anymore, and then Sony would have an issue. They still have to like give these retailers that are selling their hardware the option. But Sony has been like trying this for a long time now, and their direct PlayStation store has become better over time. But really, during this PS5 generation, they are trying to sell to consumers directly because they saw, whoa, with the PlayStation store, that's really helping us. So if like, I would not be surprised, and maybe they're going to do it. PlayStation 6, you can only buy it at the direct PlayStation store, and then maybe later in Amazon, because they might they might sell out of all their stock on their own store, and then they don't have to give Amazon a $30-$40 cut, or maybe more. And right now, with the component crisis and how that's going, every money, like all the money that Sony can keep in their own pocket instead of sharing with a retailer, is huge. So yeah, there's a lot going on, and Sony really, because of their dominant position, is trying to get all the control that they can have. And yeah, that's ultimately not good for consumers, and that's why, even though how they will get to that point will be very, very dark, I am kind of rooting for Xbox to get back in the swing of things and hopefully become a real competitor for Sony again, because it's gonna be good for all of us. We've seen often how Xbox's wrong decisions can make PlayStation kind of go in a better direction for us, because they're like, okay, if they're doing this and we do this, that's an easy win for us. And of course, the most famous like example of that is this.
This is how you share your games on PS4. Thanks.
That was, of course, a response to the Xbox One, where Microsoft in 2013, way ahead of their time, was already like, yeah, okay, so we're not doing this physical games anymore, and all your games are licensed, and you have to ping to a server in order to access them, and you cannot share them anymore, etc., etc. And then Sony was like, oh wow, we have the opportunity here to make a big splash. And then they were like, let's do this. And that was after Sony came from a PS3 generation that, of course, did not really go the way they planned. Xbox 360 was way more dominant, especially in the early part of that generation. So they had to make big moves. And right now, it's the complete opposite. Xbox is in the dirt, and PlayStation is like, they're we we don't have to worry about them. They're even selling their games on our platform. We make the rules now, and that sucks. What's the point of getting a PS6 in the future? I mean, like, I do think some, like, I do think that, and that the data doesn't lie, right? This does not hurt the majority of people. I myself as well. I have not put a disc in my PS5. And I have a PS5 Pro without a disc drive. I don't mind it. I've never been like, oh damn, I don't even have a disc drive. So obviously, the majority will not mind, and that's why Sony is making this move. I still think it's like 5 years too early to do this, because again, there's still a majority that wants the games physically. So that's, I think, where the sort of dominant marketing position comes in, where they're like, we were able to do this because who's gonna do anything about it? Like, yeah, you're not going to Xbox. Like, good luck with that. So that's why they can do it. But I don't think this will hurt their bottom line that much. Are we really now going to stop buying PlayStation games? Are really the people that are saying, yo, I'm not buying GTA 6 because it's not on disc, are they really going to do that? That kind of reminds me of the Modern Warfare 2 boycott. Steam community. I'm not sure if you guys remember that. Was it more to boycott Steam? Oh, group, yeah. Like, remember this. This is one of the best memes ever. You had this boycott Modern Warfare 2 because they wanted dedicated servers. And then in that freaking Steam group, everyone was playing Modern Warfare 2. That was still like the most fun thing ever. So it's like, yeah, everyone is saying, "Oh, I'm gonna quit PlayStation," and they know that there's no better option for many of the games, or you got your library already. You're kind of locked in. Hey, Blades Flame, good to see you. But Xbox needs a video like this now. To be like, for sure, but I think Xbox games are selling, like physical games on Xbox are selling even less. Like, games on Xbox period are already selling less because they focused on the Game Pass model, and a lot of people on Xbox are like, I'm buying for Game Pass. I'm only playing the games that are on that servers. I'm not paying for other games apart from the occasional GTA or EA Sports FC or whatever. But they kind of ruined that for themselves. So I think if Xbox already stopped printing physical discs, not a lot of people would have noticed, because I remember going to a store in general and seeing the PlayStation aisle, and it's like multiple like shelves, and then for Xbox it's like, where's Xbox? And you're like, you have to like bow down, and then, oh, there, the Xbox games are over there. And like, if they stopped printing physical discs, I think we would not have noticed. That's the crazy things. The Land, thanks for. I love your news video talk. Thanks, man. Appreciate it. Your I'm pissed. At least make it optional. I totally agree. I'm not buying GTA 6 because Take Two has ruined Rockstar. How did they ruin Rockstar? I mean, we will see. Mia, thanks for joining, of course, as well. Appreciate you. Xbox moving to PC in 2028. Yeah, PC has been fully digital for forever. Look, I totally agree. This sucks. I've talked about it already during this stream, but I'm also being realistic. And Sony is right. They can do this and get away with it, and it will not matter. And that's the crappy part about all this, and we will suffer. We lose options, we lose access, we lose control. Yeah. But I think the gaming companies wanted this to happen 10 years ago if they could, because that secondhand market, while being way smaller, it's still a thing. People still buy a single player game and then give it to the next one. Maybe this change means that single player games that are 10 hours are selling a bit more. Because, hey, if I bought Mafia the Old Country on disc, well, you're finishing it in a weekend? Oh, then I want it. So that's one sale less. And maybe now that person will buy it. East Blue Drew, good to see you. Why do you hate physical? No, 53 nights. I never thought I would miss the days of GameStop pre-order sales bitch era, but oh boy. Oh. We're getting nostalgic for GameStop now? Okay, that's interesting. Parents who walk into a store to buy games will not see PlayStation games at all. But that's not true, Juan, because they will still be there. Like, the physical copies will still be there. The boxes will still be there. The difference is, when you open the box, there is a code inside and not a disc. Most of my games are on disc, especially if I bought it at full price, then yes, definitely on physical media. But if it's like game on sale for like $20, then sure, I will get a digital. I think that is another big issue with this whole thing. The more physical stores kind of lose power, because I really think with this change that people that were first still buying physical are now for the disc are going to be like, okay, if I don't need, like, I was buying it just for the disc. So if I don't get the disc, then I would rather just like buy it digitally, let it preload. So basically, I think less and less people will buy physical copies, even though they're still being sold. What that means is that the more people will shift to the PlayStation Store. And at one point, there will be way less discounts on physical games because that market is already going down. But I think this will, similar to how COVID also significantly accelerated the move to digital. A lot of people were still buying physical games, but then COVID hit. You could not go into a store. Um, yeah, a lot of people shifted to digital when they were stuck inside their houses. So that obviously happened, and that caused the shift to digital to accelerate. And I think this will be another acceleration of that. If all the physical copies starting in 2028 will just be a code in the box, a lot of people will be like, well, then I can better buy it at the PlayStation Store because then I at least have it preloaded and ready to go at midnight instead of having to wait for the delivery man to arrive and then I still have to download the game. That doesn't work for me. So and then everything goes to the PlayStation Store, and then Sony can fully control how the discounts work. There might be less discounts, and that's very bad. So collector's editions. So collector's editions will be what Borderlands did, which I'm guessing. I mean, collector's editions, 539s, we've already been seeing that. But for collector's editions, there it was always an interesting type of situation because if you like I'm in the market for collection editions, right? You see it on my shelf here. I have way more statues in my living room, etc. But I own a PS5 Pro without a disc drive. So if there is a collection edition that has the game on disc, then I cannot use the game. I have to resell it or whatever. So that's why all these companies put a download code inside the box, because then everyone can use the game. But I get the physical collection as well. They're like, I'm buying a physical edition with the statue, and then I get a code in the box. So there was no way to make both parties happy. So that is, I think, the reason why they went with the code in the box for the collector's edition. But now after 2028, everything will be a code in the box. Concert Citizen with the super chat, appreciate you a lot. Makes living being high beast. Don't expect anything more than shilling from your. It's unethical, 100% he knows it. I don't really get what is shilling about what I'm saying here. I'm trying to look at it from a realistic standpoint. What do you want me to say? I've pointed out the reasons why this is happening, and I'm pointing out the negative, which there are many of, side effects. You're now just angry because of this situation, and you're putting it out on me because I'm the first person that is live discussing this news. Like, I can be here like a chicken without a head and be like, oh, this sucks. But I like to look at it from a realistic point of view. And I'm looking at it, okay, how did we arrive here? Why is Sony making this decision now? And I know people who are in denial right now and that are using these physical games. They don't want to hear it, but I'm telling you, there's not much you can do. It's happening and it sucks. I know. It sucks that the companies get more control. That is totally the situation here, and that is not great. That is certainly not great. But I'm also saying that they know they can get away with it. They know that even though you're saying now I will not play on my PlayStation anymore, that you will be back. You will be playing GTA 6 even though it's a code in the box. And that sucks because we are hardcore gamers. We live and breathe this stuff. We want to be playing. Like, in the end, it is about the games. It's about playing and experiencing the game. And all this other stuff around it sucks. It hammers us from enjoying that game. But the moment you're playing that game, moving the stick and moving your character, being engaged in the story. It doesn't matter if you're playing on a disc, if you're playing on digital, if the PlayStation decides that there's only a code in the box, all that disappears. And that is what sucks, because that's why they can make all these decisions, because they know that the actual art that we want to experience stays the same. Even though the hurdles to get to that point and the extra money that we have to pay sucks, but they know that we will still find a way to do it. And yeah. And I still think that there, maybe if everyone will get angry about this, they will reverse it. But I also am realistic. Like, this is a huge undertaking for them, and it's not as easy as just saying, "Oh, we're gonna continue." I think the biggest thing for me is that Sony deciding this for everyone else. Like I already said, I think they should have done this for their first party games. If they really want to do it, let other people make their decision. They are the biggest console platform. And now they are deciding physical games are dead. And that is, I think, the biggest issue here. Mr. Big Daddy, appreciate you a lot. Ignore the close-minded individuals, Keep saying the facts and being realistic about the situation. Thanks, Mr. Big Daddy. Appreciate you. That's good to hear as well. Of course, I don't. I don't like to. Like, yeah, this is always how I will approach things, and maybe that is like, maybe that's easy to then say, yeah, he's shilling, but I don't know. It is just people just don't want to sometimes hear the realistic facts, and that is the sad part. Still makes me angry. Like, I still don't like this. I'm always all for options, and them deciding that this part of a huge part of gaming that 20% of the people are still using, 20% of the games on PS5 in 2025 were sold physically. That they're now like, nah, that 20% doesn't matter to us. That sucks. And you should totally voice your concerns. You should totally vote with your wallet. You should totally do what you feel is necessary. But we have been in these situations many, many times. And like, they know you will be back, and that sucks. That just sucks. That is the meme that I, of course, already showed about the boycott Modern Warfare 2 Steam. This the community where everyone is playing Modern Warfare 2. That boycott did not work. And that is the sad reality. And that's why, like, I think the best thing for this is for Xbox to get their shit together and become a better competitor. Because I really think that why this is happening, like, this was inevitable. Let's be honest here, this was inevitable. That physical games at one point would disappear. I still wish, like, just with music, that there was always the option. But the reality is, there's a lot of logistics. It's way more than music. So it makes sense that at one point it would disappear. But I think 2028 is too early. It's way too early. Again, the companies wanted to do this way earlier. But yeah, then they were like, okay, this is actually going to hit our bottom line. But now they're finally reached the point where 80% were selling more and more diskless PS5s. We made the freaking extendable disk drive very hard to find, very expensive, so people are not buying it. We're already forcing this digital future, and now to rip the band-aid off is crazy. But I think that if Xbox was alive and kicking and a real competitor for Sony, I think that they would not have done this, at least right now. They would have waited. But with Xbox in the dirt, and they're already selling all their games digitally, like, not all people buy physical games on on Xbox. They know they can do it because Xbox cannot make that video where they're like, this how you share a game on Xbox, because they are probably thinking about doing the same. And that is very unfortunate. It was not inevitable. It was a calculated choice by corporations. It's only inevitable if you lay down and let corporations walk all over you. I mean, at one point, if only 5% buys physical games, I don't know. I was already not getting Wolverine as a boycott. I'm like, everyone do your boycotts, please. Totally. Let them feel this. I think that's only good. I think that's only good. I'm going to have to stay on my PS5 for as long while, maybe learn about PC gaming. I think it's very funny if you now go to PC gaming if you are on PS5 because you don't like this situation. On PC gaming, everything is digital. The whole code in the box has been in existence like for 10 years already. So I don't really get that. Oh, right, and Blade is about to be cancelled. Yeah, the whole Xbox situation is not great either. Like, that's the whole thing. It's like, yo, everyone is making these horrible decisions, and we as gamers who just want to enjoy games are like you go to the one party who's like really bad, and there's another party that's very bad, and you have to make a choice between two villains, basically. Who do you feel makes the least worst decisions? This is about video games. You're not obligated to buy games. Sony is cocky because of how in lead they are. They don't care about us. That's totally true. It's not about corporations walking over you. They're not forcing you. Yeah, fair. They are now forcing you to play digital. Like, it's a crappy situation. I'm getting Wolverine and GTA 6 digital PS5 Pro. And most people will, and that's why, in the end, it will not matter. And that is the sad reality of it all. They did the calculations. They were probably like, okay, if everyone who likes their physical games, because they probably have data, right? They have data saying, okay, if the people that, like, they're probably looking at the data, okay, 20% of the games were sold physically. But of those people that bought these games for the physical disc, did they ever buy a digital copy already? Probably. So I think the people that are physical only, they're probably in the 5% or less of all the people playing on PlayStation. Because they think if the people that are already sometimes buying physical, sometimes buying digital, now are forced to buy digital, they already know that. They already have a digital library. They will probably keep playing. So they might lose the 5% that was still buying a physical disc. But are you really going to quit your hobby because you cannot play the game on disc? And if that is you, all power to you, I hope. Like, I think it sucks if you were really relying on the money that you got from the second game market, right? That sucks. If you were buying a game, playing it, and then selling it for half the price or whatever, and then use that money to get the next game, etc., etc., that's not possible anymore. That completely sucks. 100%. I think those people will feel it the most. Hey, Jet Laner, good to see you. 80% of the sales on the PlayStation platform are digital. This is why the change is happening. It's not because the higher percentage. No, I'm already saying that, Superman. Maybe I was not clear. But what I'm saying is that, so you already have 80% of the games being digital. 20% is physical. I think 20% is still a huge number. Like I said, if 100 million players play on PlayStation, I think it's even more. That's 20 million people. Or 20 million games that are still sold physically. It's more than that, probably. That is crazy. That is a lot that they're cutting out, that they're saying no more. Of course, the 20%, that number was going down and down and down and down. If you look at the trend, it's going down every year. But now, with them completely removing discs, I think the jump from, so say 2027, that's the final year we get games on discs, it was 18%. Then the next year we go to the code in the box, I think you're going to 15% physical or less. At one point, people will just not bother with the physical copies anymore because it's a code in the box. And then it will slowly die, which sucks. One of the strengths of Xbox is the backwards compatibility. I can put an original game disc in the Series X and play the game like normal, 100%. Like and that is the cool part about physical games. Like that really is a big plus for physical games, that you can have this old Xbox game, put it in your new console, and it still works, even if it's not available, or even if you don't have it in your digital library. For PlayStation, that's not possible. So it means that if you have a PS3 game, you cannot play it on PlayStation right now. The first Assassin's Creed, not playable on PlayStation right now because there's no PS4 version or whatever. So yeah, it's a huge thing. I do think moving forward though, all PS4 games will still be playable on even the PS8. So that won't be an issue, I think. But still, we've seen it time and time again. Games get delisted. You have them in your library and you're not able to boot them up. If you have a disc, you can just put that in and you will always be able to play. And that is kind of the scary part of this. We're still pretty early in the digital age for gaming. We don't know what 20 years from now it's going to look like. Will the games you bought on PS5 still work on the PS8? We don't know. But if you have them on disc and own a PS5, boom, you can always play it. You can always play these games. But we don't know if that will be possible 20 years from now. Maybe Sony locks out every internet access on the PS5. So then you have your PS5. It's useless. You cannot use it because all your games are digital. But we've just not reached that point yet. So we don't know those negatives yet. And that is a very scary situation. That's a very scary future that we are heading into. And yeah, again, for the majority of people that, like on Spotify, like I still buy music on vinyl if I like the artist, if I like the album. And I love that I can always look at this sort of closet I have, pick out a vinyl and play it. But I love Spotify too. And many people, like, they don't need to own their music. And for streaming, for movies and TV shows, that's the same. People don't mind that they don't own it. And that is, of course, where gaming is going to as well. And we've seen that a lot with, like, only a small percentage actually goes back to play old games. The majority just plays what's new. And that's what Sony knows. So they're really, and that's I think the sucky part about this, they're really hurting their most hardcore fans. And that is, I think, the biggest L. And that's the middle finger. Because if they really cared, they would have, even though it did not make any financial sense, even though it was going down and down and down, they would still support it because they know the core PlayStation fan wants this. And that is, I think, the biggest middle finger they're giving today, where they're like, we don't care. And we know you will be on our ride. Like, look at us. We are the king of our castle. You will bow to our rules. And that is what sucks. Yep, that's it. As older people remember, and these kids these days have no idea what they sign over just so they can play right then. I'm also sure they have the data that shows this move is the best for their business. I mean, again, like, that is the thing. They wanted to do this many years ago because it's 100% the best move for their business. The more people buy games on the PlayStation Store, the more money they get because they don't have to share that $70 price. I mean, we are still paying $70, but if you buy that on Amazon or on the PlayStation Store, on Amazon, it has to be shared between more parties. On the PlayStation Store, PlayStation gets the money and whoever made the game. So yeah, you're cutting out basically the middleman by focusing on digital. So obviously they're getting more money. I think the message are put in place by the time this happens to help protect consumers, like something protecting digital licenses and probably, yeah, I hope so. I think the EU might be focused on that because, and we're already seeing that, like the PlayStation without the disc drive was already forcing you to only buy games on the PlayStation Store, and like that, I think there will be some rules for combating Sony's monopoly on digital games, because the more and more we are forced to basically use the PlayStation Store because that's the best option, the more they can control the whole landscape. And I do think there might be some rules put into place to prevent them from abusing that. A few games have had the server shut down or content removed for sure, and that's the issue. Physical games cost less than digital, like Amazon. Yeah, and that might still be the reason why people still pick up their physical games. Why they still go for the code in the box, because it's maybe a bit cheaper. But yeah, Amazon will probably be angry about this too. They know a big reason why people buy games from their store is because of the disc. Oh, Superman. I meant to the ones that are getting upset. Oh, sorry. They're literally causing it to happen. Most everyone buying digital. I mean, I don't agree with that. Like, if you if you are still someone who buys a lot of games physical, then you're not forcing anything. Like, you still support that option. But obviously, more and more, like I don't think the people that are angry now are the people that have a full digital library. I hope at least not, because then I agree. You cannot be angry about, if you have not bought a physical game in a very long time, then you cannot be angry about this. Because, for one, it should not really impact you that much. And two, you were part of the problem. Like, that is why this is happening. If you bought a discless, like without a disc drive PS5, you are why this is happening now. But there are a lot of people, and again, I think that's a huge hardcore audience on PlayStation that did still get the physical discs, and they deserve to be angry 100%, and they should vote with their wallets or get angry on the internet. I don't know. Do whatever you need to do. I'm not sure if it will change anything. Like, I really thought, and I've said it already, when GTA 6 was like, there's no code, there's no physical disc, only a code in the box, that and people were really sad about that it created an opportunity for other companies to be like, we will always put our game on discs. Because I think that's a W. And sometimes these gaming companies look at easy Ws. And if you see one company that is, they know they can get away with it, like a Rockstar, they can do this and they will still sell as many copies of GTA 6 as they normally would. Like, I really don't think people that, there might be a few, but I really think in general, people that are angry about GTA 6 not being on disc, they will still buy the game. So that doesn't matter. For other companies, though, I do think, like, if Ubisoft was like, we know people care about discs, we're going to sell them for as long as possible. Unless we reach a point where only 1% of the games are sold on disc, then of course at one point it doesn't make sense. But the sad reality is, they cannot do that. Sony made the decision for them that the physical games are dead, and that is sad. Yeah, complacent, totally, Mick Motorhead. The fall of Xbox has consequences, 100%, and we're seeing it more and more. So that's why, if Ashish Sharma really wants to be the biggest gaming and publisher and whatever in 2030, then obviously that would help this whole situation. That would mean that Sony will make less of these anti-consumer decisions. This shit is just distro content locked behind money on the disc you already bought. They are also reporting it is going to help with the cost of the PS6, not having a disk drive, helping Sony get the cost down where they can. They also think PS6 launches late 2028. Yeah, I saw that report as well. I mean, of course, it's going to help with the cost of the PS5 if they don't have a disk drive, but they already had a diskless PS like console. So, like, they already, it was already an option, but they at least gave the option. And if they would put a PS6 out without a disk drive and with one, I think that's still better in the end. And then they would still have the cheaper version for people that want that. Saber Knight says, I haven't bought a physical game in a long time and I'm not angry. Yeah. Again, I have not put a disc in my PS5. I have a disc drive. For the PS5 Pro, I don't. But modern physical releases still require large downloads, day one patch, or internet activation, and some discs only contain part of the game. So they're arguing about the wrong thing. I mean, that is true, but the fact still remains that I can sell, or like there's still a secondhand market for it. So the disc still is the license to the game. I can give that to another person and then they can install it and get the patches and whatever. With the code in the box, you put out the code in an account and that's it. And that is a big issue for many people because they rely on selling the game secondhand. So obviously for game preservation, having only a small amount on the disc doesn't matter because then you're still, oh, we want to download the full game and the servers are down, so good luck. You cannot play your disc. But for being able to sell your disc to another person through a marketplace or whatever, not having the disc is then a huge issue. And 1K, more like 1500 if you want a controller for the new PS6. Yeah, we will see what the prices will be, but like PS5 sales, if the prices go up, are going to go down. And for Xbox, it doesn't really matter that their hardware is not really selling because it wasn't selling anyways. They were selling a few hundred, maybe a few thousand per month. For PlayStation, they were still selling like 20 million or 17 million in a full year. If that is suddenly 10 million or 5 million, then they have an issue. And I think then bringing the PS6 on the market when PS5 sales are only 5 million and then bringing the PS6 on the market to offset that, because there will always be people, even at the 1500 price tag, and I really hope that they will not do that. I hope they will stick below 1000, but that feels very unrealistic at this point. Looking at the Steam machine, of course, as well. But I really hope that they will again sell it for a good price. But again, we have the component crisis. Their hands is kind of forced. But if you are Sony and you see a diminishing PS6 or PS5 sales, and you have the PS6 ready to go, you put that out, and then okay, you have 5 million PS5s, and then suddenly 5 million or 10 million PS6. So then you're back to 15 million. And I think that is what they're probably going to look at. Because if they launch the PS6 later, and PS5 only sells 5 million a year, then that's a huge issue. You've seen those companies getting sued over manipulating the market on ramp? Yeah, 100%. And I hope they get sued for that, and I hope that that's true. Because, yeah, it feels like they are, right? They have all the power. They know everyone wants to get their components, so they can just increase the price and price. If you look at the stock prices from these companies, it's crazy. Yeah, and those AI contracts are going into 2030, so yeah, that's the crazy part, and it kind of reminds me of COVID. I saw a great comparison as well, where they're like, it's kind of like COVID. When COVID happened, people were like, are they going to delay the PS5? Are they going to delay the PS5? And it's still released. Now, obviously, the difference is that we're already in this crappy situation probably 1 year before they were planning to drop the PS6. So they maybe have a bit more leeway to move things around than they had in 2020, when, of course, shit hit the fan in March 2020 with COVID. But again, they don't know when it's gonna end. Is it gonna be 2028 or later? So what does delaying it 1 year maybe... so maybe they can launch the console in 2027. Say it's ready, right? The PS6. And they're like, no, we're going to delay it because of the component price. And then they're looking at 2028, and then the prices are even higher. So what do? It's very hard to predict right now. So I really think if they have it planned for 2027, they might as well go ahead. And yeah, it's going to cost a ton of money. It's going to create a situation where a lot of people that would always get a PlayStation at launch are now priced out of it. They are unable to get it, and that sucks. But I still think there will be a big audience, a hardcore audience of maybe 10 million people that would still get the PS6, even if it costs $1,000. And they're banking on that, probably. Yeah, it's a sad news day, and it feels like there's going to be maybe, like, we know the rumor now for the Xbox layoffs is like 2030. So, or what the heck am I saying? 2030, no, the 6th of July. July 6th is probably when they will do their whole layoff stuff. We're in such a crazy period for the gaming industry. They're doing all these layoffs, but the things are also not looking great. Luckily, some games are still selling well to an audience that is already on the platform. But of course, a Black Flag would have sold a lot as well for people that are picking up the console. They're like, okay, I now have finally a PS5. I want to get games. And that audience is gone. The new people joining the platform are gone. And GTA 6 would have been such a huge moment for current gen hardware. People would have finally jumped over, but people will not be able to if it's like $750 to buy GTA and the console. That's crazy. I have to go now, though. I have a call that I have to attend to. So the stream is a bit shorter, but I hope everyone had a good time despite the back and forth between this news. But I want to say one more thing. We're all on the same page here, right? We all want the best for gaming. And like, some things really hit you directly and other things not, but we all want the best for consumers. And like that is, of course, the place that we have to remember. We're all on the same team here. But I always like to discuss things looking at it from a, how did we get there? Why is it realistic? And also, will it have consequences? And sure, it will have consequences for individuals that were relying on physical games to sell them and get the money for a new game. But in the grand scheme of things, PlayStation will still be super popular with or without this decision. And that's what they know, and that's the sad reality. Where it feels like we're kind of losing control because they are they are the market leader by a long shot. So that is sucky. But yeah, thanks everyone. Hope to see you later.